Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. My name is Amalia Melani. I'm from MBI Amanatul Ummah, Surabaya. I would like to tell you a story. The title is Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in the village near the forest. Whenever she went out, the little girl wore a red riding cloak. So everyone in the village called her by Little Red Riding Hood. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood asked her mother if she could go to visit her grandmother, as it had been a while since they seen each other. That's a good idea, her mother said. So they packed a nice basket for Little Red Riding Hood to take to her grandmother. When the basket was ready, Little Red Riding Hood put on her cloak and kissed her mother goodbye. Remember, go straight to Grandma's house, her mother cautioned. Don't speak to strangers or dawdle along the way. The woods are so dangerous. Don't worry, Mommy, I'll be careful, said Little Red Riding Hood. But when Little Red Riding Hood noticed some lovely flower in the woods, she forgot her promise to her mother. She was enjoying the warm summer day so much until she didn't realize that a dark shadow approaching her. Suddenly, a wolf appeared beside her. What are you doing out here, little girl? Asked the wolf in a voice as friendly as he could muster. I'm on my way to see my grandma who lives through the forest, the Little Red Riding Hood replied. And she realized how late she was and quickly excused herself, rushing down the path to her grandmother. The wolf, in the meantime, took a shortcut. The wolf, a little out of breath from running, arrived at the grandma's house and knocked lightly at the door. Oh, thank goodness, dear. Come in, come in. I'm so worried that something had happened to you in the forest, said Grandma, thinking that the knock was her grandmother. The wolf let himself in. Poor Granny didn't have time to say another word before the wolf gobbled her up. The wolf let out a satisfied burp and then poked through the Granny's wardrobe to find a nightgown that he liked. He added a sleeping cap, dabbing some of Granny's perfume behind his pointy ears. A few minutes later, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf jumped into the bed and put covers over his nose. Who is it? Called the wolf in a cackly voice. It's me, Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, how lovely! Do come in, my dear. But when Little Red Riding Hood entered the little cottage, she could scarcely recognize her grandmother. Oh my God, grandmother! Why is your voice so odd? Did something happen? Oh, I just have a touch of cold, squeaked the wolf, adding a cough. But, grandmother, what big ears you have! The better to hear you with, my dear. But, grandmother, what big eyes you have! The better to see you with, my dear. But, grandmother, what big teeth you have! The better to eat you with, my dear, roared the wolf, and he leapt out of the bed and began to chase her little girl. The little girl rushed across the room and through the door, shouting, "Ah! Help me! There's a wolf!" A woodsman heard her cry and ran towards a cottage as fast as he could. He grabbed the wolf and made him spit out the grandmother. "Oh, Grandma, I was so scared. I'll never speak to stranger or dawdle in the forest again." There, child. You've learned an important lesson. Oh, thank goodness. You shout loud enough for this kind to hear you. The woodsman knocked out the wolf and carried him deep into the forest where he wouldn't bother people any longer. The little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother had a nice lunch and long lunch, and they never saw the wolf any longer. That was the story of Little Red Riding Hood. I hope you enjoyed and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.